Hey fam, Swati Tukon Crap Pinik here, and thank you for joining me for the second stream. I apologize about the delay. Again, still getting used to everything, and it's always not the easiest thing in the world to set up a stream, believe it or not. I have to give kudos to those guys that do it all the time, because it's definitely not as easy as it looks to get a stream up and running. Let's see if I can't get this a little bit better lined up. I don't know why it's showing so dark, but do apologize about that. But I'm not sure if anyone is here, and if you're here, if you can hear me. So yeah, I apologize. I am still trying to figure this out, and it doesn't look like Google's really helping me that much. It says that I'm streaming. It says that I'm recording. So I think everything is good. I just can't see the chats. Let me just see here. Last week I could see the chats, but for some reason I cannot see the chats now. Weird. It says I'm live. I don't know. Like I say, this is the noob in me, the uncomfortable, not familiar with everything noob. Do appreciate that. But we do have some game requests, so we will go with that if no one joins us, of course, or joins me rather. So there's that. At least we have a few to go by. You can see I have sorry, Assassin's Creed from the PSP currently loaded on both screens. Obviously, there's no dual screen for Assassin's Creed, but there we go. I remember when the first Assassin's Creed came out back on the PS1, or gosh, wow, I am very special today, apparently. PS3. If I can remember to save my life, that'll be amazing. Let me just try to turn on this light. Maybe that'll help with things. Can't guarantee it, but it's worth a shot. See if I can't make it where it's not beaming down on everything. Okay, make it a little bit brighter in here. Just my little Sakura retro modding lid. He didn't ask me to do it. I just wanted to do it because I think the cherry looks really cool. But anyways, shows I do have somebody here live now. I appreciate that. Now, if I can figure out how to see the chat again, that will be amazing. I don't know who it is. Let me see here. Let's see if I can see the chat. I don't know if I can or not. Okay, I can see at least that part of it. Okay, yes, Ethan is here. I can see it from Google. All right, welcome, Ethan. I apologize. I'm still getting used to this streaming software. So I'm glad you were able to make it, bud. All right, so I was just mentioning that I have my little Sakura retro modding lid from them up there, not under any requirement. I just do it because I think the cherry looks really cool. But you can see it's kind of disorganized on my part right now for all their sticks. But I am using two of their pieces right now. I'm using the thumbstick that I showed in the last video, plus also I'm using their cap for their sticks to make it extra wide and extra grippy, because it gives it kind of that silicone feel. That's kind of my preference. And I can still close the device if I want to. Could probably center it just a wee bit better. There we go. One of the things I like is you can actually close it and it goes right between the thumbsticks. So I'm still trying to answer, and I'm going to have to come up with an answer tomorrow whenever I'm recording this video, the review video. But I've already seen some of the videos of the Odin Thor, and they're saying that for them it makes sense, and to me it makes sense that it makes sense to them, because again, my first large screen / foldable device was the Microsoft Surface Duo 2, and I know a lot of people didn't like it at first glance, but I loved it because I loved having two screens that can do two different things at once. So my fellow Canadian YouTuber, one of them, Joey, he mentioned that he loves to have the Thor with the game up top and a strategy guide down below. And to me, that's one of the best use cases. Is yes, you can play, of course, DS, and I have a number of DS games on here, and I got them to work the way I want them to, where they're oriented properly so the top screen of the DS is on the top and the bottom screen is on the bottom. On this device, I was able to do it with Melon DS. It is a bit more work than I feel like the average person would like. So unless you're fairly tech savvy, I feel like it could be too much of an ask to try to set it up, at least for this device. Now, they may have pre-installed that fork of Melon DS, and it may work innately better than the out-of-box experience, but the out-of-box experience takes you time to format which screen do you want to be which, how full of the screen do you want it to be on, an aspect ratio do you want it to be on each, which resolution. So it is a bit more work on Melon DS, so you definitely have to be more tech savvy, which again, that's one of my metrics that I consider, of course, is ease of use, because I want to know, is this going to be something that anyone can pick up and start playing? Whether you're my wife or who's not very tech savvy, or you're Ethan that's in the chat right now who is definitely tech savvy. And he's not afraid to just monkey around. Whereas no matter how many times I tell my wife, it's okay, just play around until you get what you want, because you're not going to break anything, she's still afraid to do that. So there's the two camps. And if you're of that camp that's afraid to break something, at least this, because again, this was designed as an afterthought. I can't yet speak about the Thor because obviously that's a purpose-built dual screen device. Whereas they came out with this almost 8 months, 9 months later. So this was, not something they had in the pipeline. But like I say, they are using the same screens, so they probably wanted to be able to utilize those screens. And for $80, it's nice to have it and then just be able to quickly unplug it whenever you only want a single screen experience. So yes, I'm kind of talking through what I'll be talking through on the review on Friday when I make my video tomorrow, staying up all night, which I'll be able to do because Joe and little Dominic, my son, are in her hometown or should be arriving shortly in her hometown. And they'll be there for the next week or so. So that'll give me a chance to finish the review tomorrow, and then on Friday, I'll do the recording for this guy right here, which is the Anbernic RG476H. From the videos I've seen of it, they could definitely stand to make a 477H next year that, maybe adds some ergonomic humps on the back rather than a flat back and whatnot, but I'm going to still try to go into that unboxing and review with an open mind. And then hopefully sometime in the next week or two, I will be getting my Thor, but depending on when I get that, I still have, let's see here, how many devices do I have in my backlog waiting for me to get to anyway? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 more devices to get through my backlog. So definitely have a good selection there as far as that goes. So I'm not worried if I don't get the Thor by the time later on next week gets around. I'll get to it when I get to it as soon as I get it. Same thing with the Aeneo Pocket DS, as well as the Aeneo's Conquer Pocket Fit and the Odin 3. So definitely got some big devices coming, just have to wait for them to get to me. However, for example, the Odin 3 I ordered with the 8 Elite, so that'll probably be December. And same thing for the another device, the Aeneo device, the Pocket Fit, so the Conquer Pocket Fit. So have it spaced out, but at least have backlog to get through in the meantime. And then I'll also be able to finally get to doing some long-term reviews. For example, with my ROG Ally X SteamOS build that I've done, my long-term of my favorite device of the year so far, the AYN Odin 2 Portal. See how that holds up, of course, and we'll find out later. But I wanted to show a little gameplay here. So Assassin's Creed was one of my favorite games when it first came out on the PS3. So, and since I did have it, why not show off on the PSP version as well? Like I say, it's not going to show anything different in this regard, but it is what it is. It still looks really good on both screens, of course. Hold R button. Okay, so I'm just going through the tutorial here. Press and hold L. I am. Okay, camera up. I see how it's doing it. Okay. Definitely not the most intuitive. Okay, so I think that's enough Assassin's Creed. Definitely interesting enough, but I am using PPSSPP, which is a game that is in the Play Store. So if you have your PSP ROMs, you can play it directly from the downloading it from the Play Store. They do have two versions, of course, the free version that it supports ads, and they have the version that is one-time payment, I believe, again, $6 US, and you support the developer and make it, of course, ad-free. Of course, we have ESDE, we have RPCSX for PS3, and I have Melon DS for DS. Yes, I definitely will at least start the first half of the year with enough devices. Cheaper and more expensive, hopefully, because obviously we want more devices to come out. I wish that I was a big enough channel to get an invite to the ROG Ally Xbox event, but sadly, Microsoft and their marketing team have no idea who I am, and justifiably so at this point. Not saying I don't appreciate all 217 or 218 subscribers, but I'm not on their radar yet. Usually it takes a few thousand. I know I saw someone post that they received their first review units from a big company like ANEO or AYN, and they said, they had like 20,000 subscribers. So the fact that I was able to get Trim UI to send me a review unit, I appreciate them very much, because obviously I'm still a small fish in so many different ways, and they decided to be there for me. And, Sakura, they didn't have to stand up for me either. I appreciate that they were willing to. And really, their thumbsticks are nice. I just wish they were naturally kind of grippy, because they are kind of plasticky feeling. And then they do have these caps to go on their thumbsticks, which do make them feel like a console thumbstick. So it feels really good. Currently turned off the RGB lighting, but again, RGB lighting is quick and easy to turn on. And then you can obviously choose, well, you could choose both if you want all of them to be matching, both of them to be matching, or if you like a little stick uniqueness, you can by all means have some stick uniqueness. I don't know how well it's showing because the room is so bright, but I have a kind of a teal color over here and a red color over here now. And of course they're kind of big, but there we go. I think that shows them better. So of course, one thing to keep in mind is you do have controller settings. So you have retro. You can disconnect it if you're going to use a third-party controller like the PlayStation controller I showed in my Dream device. And then you also have Xbox controller style. So the reason that you have these, of course, is retro, and then is where you're connecting with the enter button. The command button is the A button, like on an original Nintendo, whereas Xbox, I wish I'd say modern, because PlayStation does it as well, but this button down here that's marked as B is the command or enter button on PlayStation and Xbox on everything but Japanese consoles up until I believe PS5. I believe PS5 they changed it to now be the X button, which is the bottom button. So I wish it was more labeled modern and retro, but you have Xbox and retro. And then of course for the thumb, the triggers on the back, you have for analog, which means that it will only react as an analog button. Digital, so it'll act like a digital button. Why would you want it to be a digital button? Well, for example, PS1, it was only a digital button. On the Nintendo Switch, it's a digital button. So, and also, if you're playing a shooter game, for example, maybe you want to have that quick shooter instead of having to depress the button the whole way to trigger the button, you'd want to be quick and easy, so you'd want to go digital. So as soon as it recognizes anything, it shoots your gun. So there's that. Whereas, of course, modern games, you have like the PlayStation where you pull down one trigger, and the slower you pull it, you can actually feel the controller vibrate a little bit if you're pulling a bow back. And then once you're all the way back, then you can shoot it with the other trigger. Really cool stuff. But again, you get the choice of both analog digital. So again, I love that we get that quick, easy access in our quick action menu. Of course, you can turn on and off Bluetooth. Probably want to turn on Bluetooth if you are connecting a Bluetooth controller. If you want to do screen recording, you can do screen recording. If you want to do fans, of course, you can do different fan modes. So they give you everything you could need there. Of course, auto rotate, hotspot. I'm not sure how you'd get a hotspot on this device since there's no SIM card, but that's all right. Keep screen on. You can make it go to sleep if you don't want it to be staying on, which is a nice feature, of course. Floating icon, which is when you pull over from, if I can do it. It's a bit tricky. Let me see if I can turn. Probably have to be in a game to do it. But the thing like is if you're playing a game that has on-screen commands only. For example, a lot of people love Genshin Impact. You can swipe over, and then that'll give you like the key mapper where you can map out your keys. So X will be, for example, your swipe. You can make your analog stick be your movement, for example, and all of that fun jazz. Force landscape, of course, for things that can be gone into landscape. Of course, you can force it into dark mode if you want to force it into dark mode. Give your GPS location if you want. You don't have to, obviously, but it's saying, hey, you should probably turn it on. I don't care. In case some game wants it, for some reason, that's fine. So yeah, like I say, they give us a lot of good things. Remember, the brightness slider is the internal display. So you'll notice the bottom display is getting brighter, but the top one, secondary display, is not changing. So you have to use the buttons over here to go up and down. See if I can't make it obvious. There we go. Yeah, you can see it now. It's more obvious now. So that's, again, because it is a secondary display. Whereas, again, the Thor has a quick action where you push AYN button on the bottom, and that brings up the Thor center, which then you can toggle the brightness individually or both. The one thing, again, Joey, my fellow Canuck, pointed out is while they do give you a brightness slider for both screens, it's not matching the brightnesses, it's just matching the percentage of brightness. And apparently the large 6-inch screen doesn't get quite as bright as the bottom 3.92-inch screen does. So percentage-wise, the bottom screen is getting brighter. So then you have to manually go back and adjust, tweak the bottom one once you get your top to the top screen that you like. And the other bug he's seen on the Thor at the moment is you close the screen, open it back up even 2 seconds later, and the bottom screen is back to max brightness, even though it shows that didn't change. So that's why I'm still like trying to think, is having this secondary screen ideal? Because, if you only want a single screen experience for a while, just unplug it and off you go. And you still get a 5.5-inch screen. The other two devices have a 6-inch and a 7-inch screen rather than a 5.5-inch screen, but they're permanently attached to their either 5-inch screen or their 3.92-inch screen. So, it's kind of nice having this. And I know I talked to a guy at church about this, and he said he loved being able to have this because he has a younger son that I believe is about 10. And he said that, he preferred, just detaching it giving his son the single screen experience, so he didn't have to worry about him breaking the accessory as well, breaking the secondary screen. So, I can see pros and cons to both. And if you're watching, I appreciate you watching. Yeah, I would guess that that too. I would have thought maybe Retroid could have maybe disabled the hotspot feature, but again, I don't know. I haven't tried using a Wi-Fi only Android tablet in years, so I don't know if that's still the case for Android tablets as well that are Wi-Fi only. Um, but it could be just also that Retroid just didn't want to do the extra work and kept it as vanilla Android as possible. So let's take a look here. Let's take a look over at Melon DS. If you remember the last live stream, I was using Drastic, which I decided to go to this version, this app, Melon DS, because Melon DS is currently under development, whereas Drastic, from what I've heard, is no longer under development. So while Drastic does support the second screen, and it does support it in an easier fashion. I can't deny it's definitely easier. This is a fork of Melon DS that they hope to reincorporate it in once they have the dual screen set up in an ideal way. The nice thing is this does load games more quickly. Your games list does crash less often. I don't know if you remember during my last live stream, but trying to load games or even load my games list was crashing drastic. So this is definitely a much more optimized version or app. And of course, we have all of my games here, all kinds of them. The thing is, like I say, you have to go through quite a bit here. You have to, let me try to remember, see if I can remember how to do this here. Yeah, so you have to set up layouts for the internal screen and the external screen to be full screen or to be 4:3 aspect ratio, whatever you want them to be. And initially it starts with both screens, so and only has one layout. So let me see if I can show that here. I'm not sure if I can, but yeah, so it initially starts with something like this, where you have your primary and your secondary screen. So then you have to tell it, okay, I want to delete that. I want to delete that. I don't need those. I want to delete that. I want to delete that. Just to kind of show you the process here. As you can see, it's not the quickest process in the world. All right, so there's that. Then you have to, for example, click on one of the screens. Click on that. Then do you want to keep it at this resolution and then center it horizontally? Do you want to center it vertically? There you go. If that's what you want, keep the native aspect ratio, you can. Or you can be a nerd like me and stretch it out widescreen and fill up the screen. But you have to do that for both of them. And then kind of trial by error to teach you. Oh, here it is. Yeah, see, I'm in an application now, and now we have the key adapter, which is the mapper, and everything else. So you can do screenshots, alerts, FPS. What kind of FPS are we currently at? Remember, this device is only capable of 60 hertz on either screen, because again, it is the same screen, but it's going to show you what percentage of the CPU you're using, what is the temperature, memory usage, RAM usage. You can try to speed it up, of course. So they do have a lot of things here. So that's what I had to do with each one to get it working. Continue without saving. My layout. Okay, perfect. So, like I say, it's definitely a more tedious thing here. Let's see here. Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. So then this does load up just like a DS did, and it acts like I inserted a card. So there we go. Licensed by Nintendo, by Konami. And as I mentioned, because the bracket does cover up the volume, in the quick action menu, we do have our volume up and down key. I mean, I'm not probably the most purist, but I think it looks pretty good with it filling up the screens. See a couple people join, so welcome. Let's we'll go with good old Penic. I guess I could have gone with an apostrophe here. Yeah, let's be authentic, right? Yeah, if I can spell my name, that always helps. Okay. Or use your stylus to draw. Okay, we'll go with P. Hey, all right. We want it to be a red one because red's my favorite color. Okay, I think that's good. Good. Okay. So the benefit of having two 5.5-inch screens is you have a nice big screen. As I mentioned in my previous video, this is the largest secondary screen of any of them. You have a 5-inch screen on the Yenio, but it's a 4:3 aspect ratio screen. And then the AYN Thor has a 3.92-inch screen that's almost a square, but not quite. There we go. Ooh, entrance. Switch the main character. There we go. Call partner. Okay. Oh no, not a dragon or like thing. Tell I am terrible at this. Oops. I don't know how to get up there. So different than the Castlevanias from when I was really young. Not so different for some that are watching, but that's all right. I grew up with NES and SNES Castlevanias. I am horrible at this game. All right, so we'll let that go. Any DS game anybody wants to see? Can't guarantee I've played it, but happy to give it a try. I have, I think, over 1,000 DS games on here right now, so which is why I still haven't gotten to the M's yet. So if you can think of one, let me know. Don't be afraid to talk in the chat. It's the only way I can know what you're what you want to hear or see rather, and want to be there for you and support you to make this a beneficial live stream for you. It's not about me just playing games aimlessly, but also for you. But yeah, if you know a game that you want to see me play and maybe you know it's really tough right from the get-go, watch me suffer, I'm all for it. Any fighting games? Okay, let's see here. Can't tell my favorite sport is American football. Madden 2005 through 09. Let's see here. Any good fighting games? Yes, I have the different versions of Nintendogs too. Super Dodgeball Brawlers. Oh, can't remember which like actual like Mortal Kombat Street Fighter games I have on here. Have enough. You think I would have had it? I would have it. I have one. But also trying to remember which name is one. You know why Uno is called Uno? Anybody know why Uno is called Uno? While I'm looking here. Well, I got wrestling. Wrestling's kind of fighting. I'll leave that question out to see if anybody knows why the game Uno is called Uno. We'll do a singles match. Dave Bautista. Big Daddy V, Big Show. I remember when these games were coming out, though. These were some awesome graphics. Funny to think that these two are still in or have rejoined WWE after spending years apart, and Edge still wrestling professionally after breaking his neck all those years ago, but obviously not with WWE now. But he did rejoin WWE for a while too. Oh my gosh, JBL. It's interesting seeing the ones that still wrestle. Like these two also. We'll be Randy. And why not? We'll be Ray, wrestle Ray Ray. ECW. Well, thank you for commenting, Ethan. I appreciate that. Anybody else that's on the stream know why the card game Uno is called Uno? Let me avoid music so I don't get any copyright strikes. Hopefully, I don't know if you can hear it or if it's being blocked out. Oh, got looking up there. So yes, you can change what screen does have stuff, but I'm trying to remember how to do stuff, and that's where the problem lies. I haven't played this game. It almost seems like my face buttons don't want to be mapped. Let me see here. And of course, let's key mapping. I thought I had input all my keys, but like you can see some of them moving around, but maybe. I don't know. Well, there we go. Ah, now I'm back to only one screen. Yeah, I'm at 60 frames per second. I don't know if you can see that down right there by my finger. It is a bit disconcerting to accidentally toggle myself in and out of or to different screens. I don't know why it's not recognizing it's recognizing my D-pad, but it's not recognizing my face buttons. Very strange. Touch numbers. Yeah, I guess nobody knows. So Uno is called Uno because Uno, you say Uno when you have one card left, and the word Uno is the Spanish word for one. So that's why Uno is called Uno, because you're actually saying one when you have one card left. Let's try a different one here. Nope, got some strange artifacting going on. Touch to start, okay. Sure, we'll do a story. So, who on the stream right now grew up being an X-Men fan? If you were, who was your favorite X-Men and why? Or I guess it could be villain too from X-Men. Maybe you're a Magneto fan. Nothing wrong with that either. Patrick Stewart. I'm a nerd. I liked him in Star Wars. Yeah, see, it's like it's not recognizing my buttons. Maybe because I have it set to Xbox. Let's try retro. Does that matter? No, that's not mattering. Let's try that. Okay, I have to touch the screen, maybe. All right. So you can, like say, the nice thing is you can quickly toggle between the screens. Interesting. It's supposed to be saving it, I believe. Yeah, saving. Okay. I don't get why. Let me just try remapping the buttons here. Wait, don't actually map. All right, so I don't know why it wants to crash now. Oops, gotta remember to delete that off. All right, wait. Hmm. All right, we'll close that. Of course, no apps are perfect. Yeah. I can't imagine how you would actually say it though. I'll have to. You'll have to send me a voice chat of how you say Uno in the with your Aussie accent. That would be kind of interesting to hear. All right, so let's just jump to something else. Let's look at a classic console here. Back. Now I haven't gone through. I haven't personally gone through and scraped all of my games because again I do have thousands of games. So unfortunately I don't have box art because that would literally take me a week to do since I don't have it on the same device. No. All right, so, okay, I got things messed up here. I always found it interesting to see the Jaguar controller. Like, what were the people at Atari thinking to have the number pad and 3 buttons? Like, that's one of probably the most funky looking controller, and they didn't even have analog sticks yet. Pre-analog sticks, but you had what? 3 times that's 12, and then 15, 18 buttons on the face of a controller. Now I know not every game used that number pad, but still, 18 buttons on the front of a controller, ridiculous Atari. And the links, just interesting having the split buttons on a handheld. And look, like on each side is basically the same amount of space the screen is, same area as the screen, if not bigger than what the screen is. Really interesting designs back in the day. All right, so any consoles you guys want to see? Um, I believe I got this set up. Here it is. My wife asked before she left today, why did I want to shave? But yeah, it's getting itchy, which it was getting itchy, but at the same time, I didn't want to show a week and a half scruffy beard when you look at the reflections. So 007. Of course, my Dreamcast is wanting to be a pain in the butt. So 007 wasn't, I can't remember. Was um, like this 007 or N64 007? Oh, GoldenEye. Okay, GoldenEye. I don't have GoldenEye. I thought I did. I have World Is Not Enough. I'll have to check out what happened to my 007 GoldenEye, because I know I had it. I've played it on another system, so it's in my ROM list. I know, Ethan, you really want to see American Girl Kit Mystery Challenge from the US. Oh, that screams an amazing time. Get rid of those keys. I don't want to see them. So that's the nice thing is with RetroArch, you have the virtual keys, but then you can just quickly get rid of them. Of course, it's going to duplicate the screens because it's only a one screen game. But again, if I wanted to, I could just easily disconnect it and then just reconnect it when we want to do a dual screen game. So sorry, the world is not enough because I don't have GoldenEye. And I know you wanted to see GoldenEye, Ethan. Oh, thank you. You have a box waiting for me? Why don't you say? At least you got two screens here. I'll go without the glare here. I mean, not horrible graphics for the N64, you know? Oh, she can't help me? Oh, no, that's not very nice. Why does nobody want to help me? Press the B button. There we go. Interesting. Why can't I stand up? And why am I looking right there? Believe it or not, this is actually easier on my Odin 2 portal with one screen than having two screens, even though it looks like it should be the same. Like I say, I don't understand why I don't have GoldenEye on this, because I transferred everything from the same folder that I have on my Odin 2 portal, and my Odin 2 portal has it. Because I have a 14 terabyte hard drive right over there that I keep all of my ROMs on. And I have about almost a terabyte by itself of PS2 games. Obviously, I can't put all of them on here. And of like classic games, I have like 20 gig worth of stuff, and of the DS, I have about 100 gig worth of stuff. So I also store my videos for my saved videos that I've published on there as well. But it's been so long since I've played this, I can't remember. There we go. Now I stand up. All right, let's go to security. Okay, I am not able to figure out what to do in this game again because it's been so long. Can I go outside? Nope. All right, so I'm sorry, I'm horrible. Yeah. So you can make it where this never comes up on here as well through the settings, if you want. Let's see here. I think I am bad at that game. I can tell you I would be even worse at Superman. I've heard that Superman is like one of the worst games of all time. I don't know if I can get it to play. Ah, there we go. For some reason, PS games have been giving me an issue since I did a reset on it. I don't know why. Duck Station. Yeah, so one of the things you can obviously do is you can set what consoles you want to be on what screens. So if you always want something different to load on different screens, you can do it that way. There is an app drawer too, so you can really just minimize everything if you don't use regularly, and remove it from the screen. That way it's only on your app drawer if that's what you want, of course. So PS3 games are interesting because with PS3 games, you have to first load it into the system, onto that list that I had the game list on, the one game on. So you have to load it there, and that can take anywhere from 30 seconds to 10 minutes. And then it has to compile the game the initial time. And then that again also can take anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour. But then after you do that, then the game can load pretty quickly. Let's just do a quick game. Let's make me pick a different team. Okay. Now I wish that they would do a remaster of this game on the PS5. You can see it compiling shaders and whatnot there. Oh, of course it crashed. Because I loved playing Tech Mobile and Super Tech Mobile as a kid at my friend Steve's house. So hey, Steve, if you decide to watch this, shout out to you, buddy. But this was cool when it came out because you could go back to the Super Tech Mobile graphics if you wanted to, or you could play PS3 style graphics on it, and it could be on the fly in the middle of the play. See if I can't get it to load this time. It's very hit or miss if it crashes out or if it lasts. But like I say, you can see these are PS3 level graphics. Definitely a step above the graphics from the PS2 era, but not the full PS3 capabilities. Why are you not doing anything? I think it froze up again. So that's the problem is PS3 still in its infancy as far as playing. So you can get some PS3 games to play, but it's kind of hit or miss. Let's see, let's go back in. So you need the system software to make it work for PS3. That's easy enough. You can go to Sony's official website. If you Google PlayStation 3 firmware and then download it to your computer, but just download it on this device and then you can put it on the system. So you are using actual PS3 firmware. It's asking about your download channels where you can download the application. And of course, you can do different things as well. So let's see, I believe we have an 8-core processor, so let's let it use half for that. So there's a lot of stuff on here, and I've had to go through one of the other YouTubers that I follow, Retro Tech Dad, to help me understand this a bit better too. Even though I'm fairly tech savvy, he's been more in depth into the system, so he's a bit more familiar with it all. He recommends that. All right, let's just try changing it from 2 to 4. See what we get. That's the only change that I've officially made. See if that makes any difference. Okay. That's wanting to freeze up on me. Which, again, this is using a Snapdragon 865 though, so the fact that I can even get a PS3 game to load, even though it's crashing out on me, is still pretty impressive whenever you think about it. Because the 865 came out, what, 5 years ago? So the fact that you can do that, it's pretty impressive. Definitely runs much better on the Odin 2 Portal with Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which of course at this time is still a 3-year-old chip, but it was a generational leap from the 865 to get by the time you got to the 8 Gen 2. All right, so let's go back to ESDE and let's see here. I believe that I have it on here. Let's take a look. Mortal Kombat for Ethan. I don't know if you're still on the chat. I can't. Let me see. Can I see who's still here? Participants. Oh yeah, there you are. All right. Well, technically yes. You are right, my friend. But my point being is that it's a fairly old processor, and RPCSX is a current fork that's still in its infancy for PS3 and eventually PS4, because it used to be RPCS3, but then they changed it to RPCSX, so that way they could incorporate in PS4 when it's ready. So the fact that they're able to do that on such a new piece of software, and the PS3 being such a difficult beast to actually be able to play, as far as from an emulation standpoint, that's pretty awesome. I don't know if you can hear the audio here. Where is my little cloth cleaner? Sorry about my fingerprints smudging up the screens. I mean, think about back whenever Mortal Kombat was coming out. The fact that they used like real actors was really amazing. Let's go with my buddy here. It's been so long since I've played this. Wow, I am terrible. But I won with 69 seconds to go. Nice. Can I beat him 2 times in a row? Didn't do a good job of finishing him off there. But I did get a win. Sonya Blade. Have to stop pushing the top button. I remember if I could win basically, this is, 3 consecutive matches or 3 rounds consecutively back in the day when I was younger. I was so happy with myself. That's it. Nope, nope. Didn't get to finish her off. Sub-Zero, the 2 nemesis. Nope. Ah. Just a sweep kick. Just trying to avoid him. He's not happy now. Nope. So we got each other. Oh, I got my first round defeat. Deserve it though. I'm not very good. It's been a long time since I played the original MK. No, at least he just finished me off in a not so brutal way. So there's the original MK on Sega Genesis. Of course, it has no problem. If you can play PS3, it's no problem with Sega Genesis. All right. Boom, 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 boom. I think I forgot to transfer God of War on here. Well, let's just look. Yeah, I did. I think it's so funny that it tells you that, and the only option is back. It should be like accept. I don't know why you had to click back out of that screen. Same thing there. Or I guess I could go like that and just give you one screen. No easy mode. Oh no. I'm telling you though, this case from my accessory showcase is a godsend. It just feels so much better. I would definitely tell you, if you're going to buy the RP5, whether it's for the dual screen mode or just as a single screen because you like a 5.5-inch screen, which is understandable. 1080p on a 5.5-inch screen looks fantastic. I would get the grips. So much more comfortable to have your hands out a little bit more. So I really am digging that part of it. Makes it so much more comfortable. So yeah, got to get the case. And the little nubbins here just kind of cups your hand, makes it feel like a proper console controller. All right, so let's go with that screen. Ah! Mega Man and I died. Oh, it looks like Ethan dropped off. So if I don't see another participant soon, I'll end it, but we'll play another round of this. Welcome back, Ethan. Did my stream freak out, or was it you just dropping out to do something else? Just want to make sure to know if stream's having any issues or if it's streaming pretty smoothly. Ah! Okay, it's smooth for you. Okay, that's good. All right, so there's some PSP footage. I think it's pretty, like say, I mean, PSP is easier to emulate than PS3. So the fact we can do any PS3 should tell you it's going to be pretty good at that. So I mean, that's the other thing, right? That's why, while this has the Snapdragon 865, the Odin Thor, again, remember, has a 6-inch screen versus this having the 5.5-inch screen. Of course, the difference being it has a 3.92-inch screen, but for the secondary screen, but for the light version, it is only about $20 more than this. So it's about $40 more than having these. So of course, the other consideration is the 6-inch screen will be about out here. So your device will overall be thinner. So your controllers will be a little bit closer together because again, you'll be using controls in this area, so you'll have a narrower device. But it'll also have a Snapdragon 865 and 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is what this has. So again, that's why I was hoping to honestly have the review video for this out, or at least recorded already. But I've been going back and forth because I love the two screens. I love having two 5.5-inch screens, but at the same time, it's always an add-on, you know, where, like say, I have hard buttons here to do the brightness for this screen versus the software solution. And there is pass-through, so I give it that. There is, pass-through charging that you can do here, and it'll charge your device. It won't pass through data, though. So, for example, if I want to put ROMs on here, I need to plug it to my computer. I have to go through the main USB-C port. I can't go through here and have it feed it through, because that's not carrying data. That's only carrying power. So that's why I keep going back and forth, and I've not been able to create that video. And I know tomorrow I need to, because I have to create the video tomorrow, because tomorrow's Thursday. But it's a great piece of hardware, for the price point. A device around $200. It's extremely powerful for around $200. It wasn't too long ago something this powerful would have been $400. So I mean, that's easy to remember, but also technology marches on. My Vivo X Fold 3 Pro, it's, well, I guess it would be still technically the most powerful one due to their choices for the X Fold 5, but technology marches on, and that's the thing, right? So what used to be expensive isn't as expensive. Like a 5.5-inch OLED used to be hard to find. Now I can have a secondary one for that much money. The nice thing is you can get this screen, and you can get the either this one that's designed for Retroid devices, or you can get the bracket for larger devices that you can connect to a Steam Deck or an Odin 2 portal or the ANEO devices that have video out and use it. Of course, since this is a 5.5-inch screen, it would be kind of an opposite 3DS, where the larger screen would be small, the top screen would be larger and the lower screen would be larger, but you can buy those adapters and make it work right from Retroid. So I love that they give us that flexibility and they don't make it just for their devices. But I'm also curious about the probably next Anbernic device that will be a dual screen device, obviously, and it's supposed to be much cheaper in the $100 US ballpark. But again, that would be like two 4-inch screens, is what I'm hearing. But again, I haven't heard exact details, but from what I've heard, it's supposed to be about two 4-inch screens. So it's not going to be huge, but again, for sub $100, if you're really into DS type games, that might be a good way to go. Not that this isn't. This is obviously going to be much more powerful than what that Anbernic will be, especially if it's in that $100, $110 range type of thing, as expected. And also obviously have much smaller screens, but it's supposed to look more like a Nintendo DS, so it might trigger more of that nostalgia feel. And obviously this doesn't give a nostalgia feel unless you're a fan of the PSP, but not for dual screen devices. I do love the parallel sticks versus offset sticks, but again, that's because I'm a PlayStation guy. So, I mean, yeah, I guess I'm using this stream to kind of to show off some games, but also just kind of give you insights into my thought process of, ease of use. I'm not going to be able to say this is easy to use, because again, Melon DS, I showed it, you have to have the wherewithal to go into your settings and change both settings, and then be like, oh wait, that's not right, and flip it around if you don't get it right the first time. Is it the end of the world? No, but some people aren't going to be willing to tinker like that. Perhaps some Gran Turismo. Did I remember to put on Gran Turismo? That's the other question. Because I don't think I put on my PS2, and I don't know if I have it on my PS1. Let me see here, Duck Station. So, launch, do a global screen launch, please. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't have Gran Turismo, I have Ridge Racer. But alas, because that's the other downside to this and the Thor Lite. It only has 128 gigabyte of internal storage, and then you have to have an SD card. Now you can get the Thor, the entry-level Thor that would also have 128 gigs of RAM for $50 more, but I'll have a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. And then if you want to have larger games like Gran Turismo and Metal Gear Solid and PS2 games on there, then you at least want to go to the Pro Pack that has 512 gig, or like I did, I went to the Max Edition with 1 terabyte for a little over $400 US. That way I don't need a micro SD card slot for it. And it'll make it so much easier. So, I mean, that to me will automatically always make it depend on and you can see it does take a moment for PS1 games to load when you're loading directly from DuckStation. So it's not just PS3 games that take a while. And actually, after that first load of PS3 games, they probably load quicker than PS1 games do through DuckStation. Sorry it's taking so long. It's just me on at this moment, and I appreciate Ethan jumping on and being so chatty. I wish some of the other viewers would have at least jumped on and said hello, because every bit of interaction obviously helps. I do appreciate the 2 likes that it shows that I've received thus far. So I do appreciate you and anyone that's watched thus far. And DuckStation is taking its sweet, sweet time. It doesn't normally take this long for DuckStation. But again, that's points to, again, why I got the Thor Max. Because I want the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 because it's more than double as powerful as the 865, so that can happen. Plus, the internal memory capacity, bandwidth of the internal memory is much quicker. So that's another reason that I want a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 version, and the Max, again, because I want the extra terabyte, so I don't need to slide in my micro SD card. Now I know some people do want to do that, but my cards top out at 256. I don't have a 1 terabyte card. Probably should buy one. I've thought about it because TechDweeb, one thing that he mentioned is you save everything on a 1 terabyte card, all of your game saves, everything, and all of the folders can be the same. So the benefit you have is when you put it into a device, a new device, all of your games are already there. If you put your application there, if you do all that, it's all there. So TechDweeb has, which is another Canadian reviewer favorite of mine. I love his not afraid to be nerdiness. I wish I could do some of the cool stuff he does, but again, that'll come with time as I get more subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe because that will help me grow. So I'm going to give up on Duck Station. I don't know what's going on with Duck Station, and it looks like Ethan has dropped out, which is fair. It's getting late in Australia. It's already 8:30 here in Thailand. So I do want to thank Ethan and everyone that joined in for this live stream. Next week, next Wednesday, we'll have another live stream for this guy here. I'll be doing the unboxing Monday. Before then for me, really, but for you, Monday, this is the Anbernic RG476H. So I look forward to getting to that. Tomorrow, I will be staying up late to create the review video for this that comes out on Friday. It's a solid device. It depends on what your use case is. But stay tuned for the review so you can actually see my final thoughts on it, for at least for now. I'll still do the long-term review 3 to 6 months from now, so sometime in 2026, whenever Retroid is probably getting ready to launch the Retroid Pocket 6, to decide if it's worth just paying a little bit less for this at that point, or saving up for the Retroid Pocket 6, depending on what they use on the inside of it, of course. They're not trying to be the higher end devices like AYN and AYNEO are. So I doubt if it's going to be a Snapdragon 8 Elite, but it'll be interesting to see next year. So if you're watching this later, I hope that you have gotten to this point. Let me know for sure what games you'd like to see in the future, and I'll make sure I have those ROMs on a standard SD card. I'll probably try getting that 1 terabyte card and putting games on it that people ask for. So that way I know I have them for live streams. So it won't run into this like Gran Turismo. I'll have to make sure it's there. I don't know why Ridge Racer was taking so long to load. But that said, that's on me. I'm still not perfect, and forgive me. It'll come with time as I get more time, as my subscriber base grows. Then I'll eventually be able to hopefully dedicate more time to my channel, and by doing that, I'll be able to be a better influencer for you, because ultimately that's what I am, and I understand that. And my job is to help you guys make informed decisions, influence you by helping you make the right decisions, by giving you as thorough of an understanding of everything as I can. And thanks for jumping back on, Ethan. I know it's getting late for you, buddy. So I was just getting ready to sign off for the night. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I look forward to hopefully seeing and reading your comments on Friday. And until next time, this has been